What does your job ask you to hide from the customers? I worked at a UPS store on a military base. When packages came back to use for whatever reason, we always told UPS that we'd donate the contents to on-base thrift store. We'd keep office supply stuff. But that never happened. One cat packaged all his belongings at our store and shipped them prior to leaving for deployment. This was at the start of the Afghan war. He didn't check his shipping label right, and about 3 weeks after it shipped it came back to us as denied RTS. We held it for a few months, expecting him to come back. After waiting, my boss told me to open it up and take whatever I wanted out of it. Trash everything else. So I opened it and it was like a dream come true. Every gaming system, stacks of games, expensive watches, all sorts of good It didn't feel right. Went in on my day off after hours. Looked more inside the box. Found a small address book with numbers. Got in contact with his parents and explained who I was, how I got their numbers, etc, etc. Ended up generating a label that night for it and shipped all this guy's stuff out on the store's dime. Boss was pissed as hell with me for doing that. My last job was a white labeled help desk. You had to hide the fact that your company existed at all from the customer. You had to pretend you were from whatever company the customer was using for their it. As a tattoo artist, oftentimes apprentices at the end of their apprenticeship will start to tattoo paying customers, walk-ins, and for a few tattoo shops. The apprenticeships are much shorter than they need to be. So if you're getting tattooed but someone who seems to be young or they seem inexperienced, they probably are. And they're probably still in their apprenticeship. But the shop will tell you they're actual artists. Do your research when thinking about getting a tattoo. And don't be afraid to wait months, or even years, for the right artist for you. It'll save you from really shitty tattoo. MD in pathology. We are the ones who give the bottom line diagnosis and staging for most cancers and many other diseases. In a weird way, the patient isn't our customer, their doctor is. We are telling them what the diagnosis is and what evidence we have to support it. Anything we say can trigger them to do a whole new treatment plan or a bunch more tests. So we have to be careful not to mention random things that we see unless we want them acting in it. For example, we might think these megakaryocytes are a little small and I see a few of them bunched together here. But it's only in a couple spots. If we bring it up, it might seem more significant than that, and trigger a distracting question about one disease process when we know that's not the actual problem. A big part of the training is learning how to communicate the truth without clouding it with the truth. Unfortunately, this often means that the reports are almost unintelligible to the patients because they are not the intended audience of the report really. I've worked at 2 fast food restaurants in my life. At each one, the only time that food safety protocol was followed or enforced was the day that the health inspector was coming to grade us. Edit. I should also note that both stores received 100% every time the health inspector came. You'd be amazed at how good construction workers become at hiding flaws. It's quite nearly a part of the job description and a large reason why so much of construction effort is put towards cosmetics, beyond the fact that most people just don't want to be looking at a bunch of rough-in work that's functionally the same but aesthetically atrocious. How many people are actually working on this really important project? Spoilers. It's just me. Cell phone store. Customers returned perfectly good phones all the time. We were told to sell the boxes as brand new. First time activations and purposefully leave out the fact that they had, in fact, already been activated and taken home within 48 hours. I'd be pissed if I bought a phone full price and it was even slightly used. I let those phones get dusty and would never sell them just to spite that shitty ass policy. We sell software and we have a page that has instructions for setting it up Linux servers. But that's basically all we know about the OS and as much as any of us actually care to learn it. If asked. The going policy is that our Linux specialist is out this week. But we'll totally refresh what we know by going over the page with you. I work in a deli and bakery currently. All of our food is from frozen and they want me to call in fresh baked in store every day. Dude, it was frozen for 3 months, thawed for an hour and then cooked. It's no better than anything else you get from the freezer section, and in many cases the freezer section is higher quality stuff. Our sales prices are just normal prices. Had to stock some pressure washers a few months back. They're $199 each when scanned. The next day I have to put up more. Scan them and they show up as $279 each. Couple weeks later they're on sale for $199 each. Edit. To make things clear, they raise the price for a couple weeks before putting them on sale. They don't just add a sale sticker to it. This isn't with everything that's on sale. Some things are on sale because it's literally just we have way too many of these and nowhere to put them, or we have a ton of product related to the spring season and now spring is over. Those are actually at a discounted price. It's not Kohl's or Walmart. The restroom. I work at a small privately owned pet store. It's the most trashy store ever, and the bathroom is a room with a toilet, water heater and buckets. To use it you have to through the back room, which is where we keep the rats and stuff. Basically it's employees only. Well, one lady asked to use the restroom. We let her and she stole a turtle that was being soaked in the sink on her way out. We caught her stuffing it in her bra, but she got away. Now if a customer asks if we have a bathroom I have to say no. Not now. But back when I worked as an aide at a nursing home, we were forbidden from telling patients we were short-staffed. We were, and it was the fault of administration because they were trying to save money. But literally the residents would be yelling at us because their shower was late or whatever, and we were supposed to just act like it was because we were lazy. Weren't allowed to tell them it was because I had the entire wing by myself. The administrator was sick of having angry family members calling to complain and decided we should take the brunt of it instead. I recently started working at a fairly fancy resort, and we just finished renovating a floor of the hotel, and a lot of the new furniture had Argentine cowhide as the leather for it. We were instructed to tell guests that it was a fake synthetic material just in case. At BK the food is frozen and gets warmed up in our automatic grill, and we are told to tell the customer that the meat is always fresh in there. Let's just say our technology doesn't come close to meeting its process guarantees. But we can give a customer a phone book sized excuse of why it's their fault. I work at a package store. Liquor store for all you non-New Englanders, with a pretty big wine cellar. It's pretty cool. But we can't go down there alone because it's absolutely chock full of snakes. They're only garter snakes. And the reason they let it continue like this is BC they're keeping the mice population at bay. We have the buddy system rule. BC our managers are terrified someone's gonna get bit one day. But for the most part they leave us alone. Out of both healthcare facilities I've worked at, they both made a big deal about not expressing how short-handed we are to patients. I'm a cashier and everyone needs to keep the override card over a mysterious button that is next to till at customer service. It's attached to a big red light and has a wire connecting it to the phone. Nobody knows what it does and we don't want to find out. If there's an issue with medication, too many pills, not enough, wrong, we're not allowed to tell them. We just have to leave the room with the meds and call our boss to fix it. It's pretty easy for them to figure out what's going on as it's kind of obvious, but we're not actually allowed to say that an error has been made. Restaurant employee here. Staff is almost always sick because we get in huge trouble if we take a sick day. Not uncommon to have servers or food expediters throwing up while at work. Strep throat, colds, other contagious illnesses are always going around the workplace. Mice. We have mice. All my past food service jobs have had mice. Assume any restaurant you eat at has a mouse problem. I'm a teacher, so I have million stupid rules I have to follow. But the worst one is that my performance evaluation is based on student improvement on the STEM literacy test. I teach wood shop. Any and every unique location to commit a crime you will get away with. That first time, we don't get the funds to have real cameras over the entire mall. So we move them to blind spots where we suspect based on following other footage the crime was committed. Then we wait for your stupid ass to go wow, that was easy and nothing happened, and go for round 2. I've talked with peers in Target, Walmart, all over the place. And this is a constant. while there are certain high-risk zones that always have functional cameras aimed at them. If you wander off to an odd corner, odds that you'll get away with it time number 1 are really good. Provided you dodge the employees at the time too. Oh. And along the same vein, park your stupid effing car at a different parking lot than you're robbing. This is how we get you. Your license plate. You don't even need a mask or a hoodie. Odds are we will never figure out who you are if you just straight up walk out with shit off the property. Really? The only thing I'm allowed to tell the customers is this spiel about the place and where the restroom is. I really wish I could help people more than I can. But management actually trained me to actively hide things from people. Literally. I'm supposed to make the customers' lives harder. If I don't do it to management's approval, they go and hide even more things. Then again, I work in an escape room. So years ago I was involved in developing and deploying a system for a chain of jewelry stores. They offer a guarantee that they will buy back your piece for whatever you paid for it. This makes sense, because jewelry doesn't really lose value, and you're not taking inflation into account. Also, most people don't return their jewelry. Long story short, they go live. And the very first day we get a ticket because the customer bought a ring for $5,000. But the certificate of value printed out that it was worth only $4,000. We dig into the database and the code, and sure enough, the database says $4,000. The cert is correct. The problem was with the salesperson. He should have overridden the value with the actual sales value. Anyway, the lesson learned is that even if you get a 25% discount on jewelry, you are not even starting to cut into their profits. Also, at the hotel I worked at, if a guest found a stray bed bug, all staff were instructed to neither confirm nor deny that it was an actual bed bug. Word games were not fun.